It's Thanksgiving night, and it's been a great day so far. We did some cooking today, had a nice family meal, went and visited my dad for a little bit. My son's home from college, so we've been spending a little bit of time together throughout the week. It's been tougher than I thought because I've been working this week, so I've been away from the house quite a bit, and he's actually working on some personal project stuff himself while he's at home. But still, it's been super awesome having him home. And this Saturday is his birthday, so I actually have no idea what we're going to do for his birthday yet, but it's going to be fun because we're all going to be spending time together as a family. It's his 18th birthday, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so enough about that stuff for now. I wanted to talk about the items that have sold over the past couple days. I've got 6 items to ship out, and I'm headed out on the road early tomorrow morning to see a few customers and meeting up some family for lunch. But I've got 6 orders to ship out, and I've got to get those done. So we're going to do that here in just a minute. But if it's your first time here, my name is Brian, and I'm a reseller. I resell on eBay, and I sell in the everything category. So I sell cookware, I sell clothing, I sell knickknacks, tools, all sorts of stuff. If I find something that's interesting and I can make money on it, I'm probably trying to sell it on eBay. Some of the stuff I don't make a lot of money on, we're going to talk about a couple of those things today whenever we talk about these 6 items that sold. So we'll get right into that. I don't know, this will be the last installment of the me being a pot dealer, but certainly the sales over yesterday and today certainly leaned into that kind of satirical thing I've been doing about dealing pots on eBay. So we're going to go through these orders in the order they came in. The first 3 are all pots. So we're going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about the items, where I bought them, how much I paid for them, how much I sold them for, etc. And then we're going to pack them up one by one and get them sent out the door. And I say sent out the door. They're going to go in the car, and then tomorrow morning I'll drop them off where they need to go to get them shipped out. So the first item that sold, and it sold yesterday, was this vintage Revereware 6-piece set. So it is a stock pot with a dome lid and some assorted saucepans inside, 1 skillet and 3 saucepans. So there's 5 cooking pieces in 1 lid. The only thing that had a lid was the stock pot. And let me tell you, this stuff is not in great shape. The handles are all, well, I'll just show you. There's pitting. So there's pitting in the bottom of some of these saucepans. It's probably a little bit hard to see. Handles are very oxidized. They're not in great condition. The handle on this lid is in not great condition. I took close-up pictures of all of this to let the buyer know exactly what they were getting. That's key whenever you're selling stuff that's not in good condition. You want to make sure they know what they're getting. So I've got $20 into this set of 6, and I sold it for full price, $74.89 plus shipping. It's probably worth $100 if all the stuff is in better shape, and I had a couple of lids to go with those saucepans, but it wasn't. So sold it for $74.89 plus shipping. So let's get this boxed up. I ran out of a certain box that I've been using for pot and pan sets, and luckily I called my dad and I was like, hey, I need to come get some boxes. I needed to ship some pots and pans. I said, man, I wish you had more of those white boxes that I got from you. He goes, I picked one up this morning and I tested it out, and it is the perfect box for these pots and pans. So yeah, so went out and picked up some boxes from him this evening. This is the box I'm talking about right here. I don't know what originally came in it. Valcom. I don't know. I did think it was funny. They're made by a company called Supply One, is who made these boxes. My sister used to work for this company here in Oklahoma City. So I'm going to set this stuff over to the side here. We're going to get everything kind of ready to go. Yeah, even this skillet. I mean, you might be able to see it. There's pits in there where it's been like stabbed, and probably used forks and stuff on it when cooking on it. But these things have been thoroughly used for sure. I'm gonna do a little bit of bubble wrap in between the pieces. While we're all here together on Thanksgiving, and I say that, you're probably not watching this on Thanksgiving, because I think it's going to publish tomorrow, Friday, Black Friday. And I'm sure everyone's going to be out shopping. They're not going to be sitting down and watching YouTube videos about pots and pans. But how was Thanksgiving? This was my first year. My younger son did help me some today, but where I did all the cooking. I told my wife I wanted to do the cooking this year. Been cooking a fair amount at home. And I was like, let me tackle Thanksgiving. You guys heard my mother-in-law always do it. And, give them a break. And thought I'd give it a shot. So, went and picked out a turkey breast, a ham, which I think the ham, it's like a small end of it. It was like a 7-pound turkey breast and a 4-pound ham. The ham cost more than the turkey. It's a little surprising, but I guess that's the way it goes. Just some traditional sides, nothing crazy. Mashed potatoes, green beans. What else? Cranberry sauce, both types. The jelly stuff and the little berries. What else was there? Gravy, stuffing. I think that was it. And I did a store-bought pecan pie because I did not. I waited till the last minute and I didn't cook my pies yesterday like I should have. And yeah, bad on me, but that's the way that worked. And I'll say, other than the turkey being just slightly dry, some of it, not all of it, but some of it, turned out pretty decent. I surprised myself a little bit because I'm really not a huge cook, but I didn't anticipate it turning out as well as it did. Oh, there goes a hammer. Dropped the hammer. Okay, so we're going to set the stock pot in there like that. And let's see. Get all those potatoes. And I'm going to show you real quick, and I'll put you back what that looks like in there. So you can see I just have everything kind of laying sideways, and I've got so I'm going to put the bubble wrap all around the top, and then I'm going to stuff paper in all around it to hold everything together, so that it gets there in good shape. I know a lot of people don't like shipping cookware. I don't mind shipping cookware. It's really pretty easy to ship. I won't say it's bulletproof, but it's hard to break cookware. So unless you are just doing an atrocious job packing it, it's gonna get there in one piece. Alright, we'll get that paper stuffed in there. I was telling my dad earlier, I said, man, this cookware keeps selling. So you gotta get more listed. Get more of it out there. Get some listed. And I said, well, I'm probably gonna be staying away from cookware a little bit, just because of the time commitment involved in cleaning, restoring vintage cookware. If I can find it in already great shape, and I only have to spend 5 minutes putting a little, you know, polish on the bottom, maybe, but there is some time involved in, you know, polishing up those, really cleaning the bottoms, polishing them, getting that nice copper look on the bottom. It's tough. I just realized I did not put in the lid. Luckily, I had the room. It's gonna fit right. It fits right on top perfectly. Yeah, that is gonna work. That is gonna work. So, as much as I like selling cookware, and I feel like I've had decent success at it, I'm probably not going to do a lot of it going forward, just because of the time commitment. Because what I'll typically do is I'll buy a bunch, I'll store it up until I have 20 or 30 pieces where I can put together sets, and then I'll clean it all up at one time, shine it, polish it, all the stuff, and then, you know, put together the sets and get them listed. And whenever I'm cleaning them, I mean, I may spend 4 to 6 hours, something like that, getting it all cleaned up. And I don't, with my new job, I don't have time to dedicate to that. So I'm going to try to shift my focus on, you know, buying things and selling things that are in better shape from the get-go. And I'm going to spend a lot of time cleaning them up to get those sold. I don't know if I had this one marked as a FedEx shipment or I may have done FedEx on this one. Let's see. Get shipping label. Where's this going? This is going to Roanoke, Virginia. I've shipped stuff to Roanoke before. I did do this on FedEx. And because I put it in a smaller box, I think I'm going to save some money, because I did it on a bigger... A lot of my cookware, I estimate the boxes a little bit big just to give myself some cushion in case I want to use the bigger boxes. I'm going to weigh it, because I typically do dimensional shipping on my cookware whenever I'm shipping FedEx. If you don't know about dimensional shipping, I will leave a link to it in the description. You can tell it's basically you're taking the length, width, and height of your box, length times width times height, you divide by 166, and you round up to the nearest pound. You always round up to the nearest inch whenever you're doing that, and then you round up to the nearest pound, and that gives you your dimensional weight. Because if you're shipping a really big item that only weighs 4 pounds, they want to treat it as something that may weigh 30 pounds, because that's how much space it's taking up on the truck. UPS and FedEx both do that. I'm sure USPS does that to some degree, but they don't, because the shipping calculator is integrated in eBay for USPS. It doesn't necessarily, it gives you the final price. You got to be careful, and you need to do the dimensional weight, because FedEx and UPS take the greater of the two. So if the dimensional weight is greater, that's the weight you need to use. If your product weight is greater than the dimensional weight, that's the weight you need to use. Whenever the shipping calculator on eBay, whenever you're using it, if you have like FedEx home delivery selected like I have, if you just put in your dimensions and the actual weight is cheaper than the dimensional weight, it'll let you send that through and it'll charge you accordingly. But then you may get a label update from FedEx, and when they do that, it's probably like 30, 40 bucks is what they're going to ding you with. So you got to watch out for that. As long as you know it up front. I didn't the first time I shipped something through FedEx home delivery, and they nailed me, and I figured it out real fast. But 8 pounds, 11 ounces. So, yeah, now I know the 15 by 12 by, I mean, it is like 11, but it is like, it's right at it, 15, 12, 11. So let's see what the dimensional weight is. 15 times 12 times 11 is 1,980 divided by 166 is 12 pounds. 1192, so it's 12 pounds. So that's what I'm going to ship it at, even though it's 8 pounds, 11 ounces. Hoping all this is making sense. If not, read the information in the link on eBay. It might make more sense that way. So we're going to say 12 pounds. I had it at 20 pounds. 15 by 12 by 11. We're going to save it. Yeah, so $14.72 is what I'm going to pay. Buyer paid $17.37, so making about $2.65 on that. Not too bad. Oh, let's purchase the shipping label. And then let's save the shipping label. Open it, go to the printer app, preview, pick my printer label size 4x6, and print. I did mention this in the last shipping video I did, but this is a FedEx package. So you can take it to FedEx. If you're after hours and you want to drop it off, you can drop it off at Walgreens. Walgreens accepts FedEx packages, and they scan it in with an app so that you get a text message saying your package has been received by FedEx. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you for your purchase. Happy holidays. On USPS, I write my little notes on the bottom of the label. FedEx, there's no room to do that on their label, so I usually I'll either write it on the box or I'll put it on a separate blank label. All right. How much profit? Let's keep track of the profit as well. Just warning you, this might be a little bit of a long-winded video, so I'm sorry about that. There we go. I knocked my pen off. Why did I do that? Because I'm silly. Use my List Perfectly pen, or no, My Reseller Genie. That's what it is. My Reseller Genie. They sponsored some stuff at eBay Open in 2024. They had remote eBay Open meetings, and they had one here nearby Norman, Oklahoma, the public library, and I went, and it was super cool. They had really nice heavy canvas tote bags with a zipper top, cool eBay mugs that like a knockoff Stanley type deal, pens, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, so $64.92 order earnings. I paid $20 for that, so that's $44.92 is my pre-tax profit. It was on a sale of $74.89 plus shipping, so not too shabby. Not too shabby. All right, let's look at the next item that sold. Is another pot. This is the second Kirkland signature piece that I've sold. This has the copper core, and the moneymaker here is it says made in Italy right down here. Those sell for more money for sure. I picked this up off Facebook Marketplace for $7. It's a really good deal. If you're buying it to use for yourself, that is a smoking deal. Buying it to resell is an okay deal. I sold it for full price at $34.89 plus shipping. So it turned $7 into $34.89 plus shipping. It's going to Missouri City, Texas, which I think, if if I remember right, it's down around the Houston area. So I feel like I've been there before. That's why I'm saying that. Let's see. This is like some upcycled bubble wrap. Got so many comments on a video recently about how many people are using upcycled products, and it is a lot of y'all, which is awesome. Keep stuff, you know, if you can use stuff a couple extra times, give it more life before it hits a trash can, that is amazing. Because a lot of times people throw stuff that is recyclable even. They'll throw that just in the regular old garbage because they don't want to take time to recycle stuff. So, which is kind of a bummer, but you know, that's the way it goes. Well, some cities really don't have a great recycling program either, so it's not necessarily just the people. A lot of cities aren't great at it. All right. Yeah, if this would have had a lid on it, had the lid to go with it, probably would have been worth about $60 instead of 35. 50 to 60, depending on the overall shape, but the condition, I should say. But yeah, just the pan itself, $34.89 plus shipping. Had a pretty good sell-through rate on these. I knew it would sell pretty fast. Kirkland signature stuff tends to ship or sell pretty fast. The pieces I've had ship fast, and you can just look at their sell-through rate. In case anybody doesn't know, that's Costco's private brand, Kirkland signature. The company I worked for prior to this company, the company that fired me, laid me off, put me in a reduction in force group of people. I don't know what to call it, but we used to do the national logistics for the Kirkland signature dog food. We had it in all of our different warehouses, and anytime somebody bought it online, it came out of one of the warehouses that we had around the country, which is kind of cool. All right, that'll go this little Amazon box. Another upcycled item, which is cool. You got to be a little bit picky about your Amazon boxes, because they'll even, you know, put right on there, this box is 10% lighter than it used to be, because it's thinner. And it is not as structurally sound as it used to be, which for them, going through their system and getting onto their vans and to your house is not that big a deal. But when you're handing it off to USPS or something like that, it's a little bit bigger deal, because they handle stuff a little bit differently than Amazon does. So I don't use all the Amazon boxes I come across because of that. Is it. This one I know I shipped USPS because it was one piece, so we're going to put it on the old scale. Let's get the shipping label. 3 pounds 15 ounces, right under 4 pounds. I had it at 8 pounds. 15 ounces. Let's see how big this box is. 13 by 9 by 11, so should Save on dimensions and weight. Hopefully make a little money on this one. Let's see. I'm paying $8 to ship it. Buyer paid $12.98, so I'm making almost $5, $4.98 on the shipping. That's really good. For a single item, for a $35 sale, to make an extra $5, that's pretty killer. All right. Telling my wife earlier is kind of funny. Each morning I go to Panera in the morning and I get my coffee, and I'm not like some big spender. I'm a member of the SIP Club, and I cancel my subscription and resubscribe. So right now I think I'm paying $5 a month for 6 months, and you get unlimited coffee, soft drinks, hot teas, iced coffee, all that stuff. So I go in there in the morning, get my coffee, and I see groups of guys who are there every morning talking to each other and stuff like that. And this morning, Thanksgiving morning, Panera's closed. Starbucks is open all day. So I went to Starbucks, ordered a drink on the app, sat down, waited for it to be made, and I look around, and all the people sitting in there are the guys that I see at Panera every morning that were there. It was pretty funny. It was all the same group of people, because they were looking for their coffee shop to go have coffee. That's pretty good. All right, so let's see, how much money did we make on that guy right there? Tell you that $5 is going to help. Okay, order earnings $32.89. I paid $7, so $25.89. So think about that. Made $25.89 on that one piece, versus that 6-piece set making $44.92. So I'd much rather sell a whole bunch of those individual Kirkland signature pieces. You just don't come across them very often. That's for sure. Okay, the third item we're going to sell makes me 3 times the pot dealer, is a teapot. It's super cool. My wife picked this up at Goodwill in Norman. We were out together one time. It is a Pier 1 Imports piece, which you can't buy unless you buy on eBay anymore. And it has a little fox, little snuggie thing warmer over it, knitted warmer. Super cool piece. I knew somebody would buy that. I couldn't find any comps for it at all, sold, listed, anything. I'm like, you know what? People like foxes, people like tea, people like buying Pier 1 stuff that doesn't exist anymore. Somebody's going to buy that. And they did. It did take about probably 4 months, 3 or 4 months. But it's going off to its new home. There was a couple loose threads, like on a nose, one of the nose pieces, and I pointed that out. So I do talk about this a fair amount, but when you see stuff like that, don't skim over it. Make sure you're pointing that out. You don't want to hope that your buyer doesn't notice something like that. You want to make sure you give them the very best possible experience. Took a close-up picture pointing right at the thread. Good example this evening, and I didn't think about it not being in the description. On Facebook Marketplace, I saw this really nice puffer jacket, and I had one. I gave it to my son because I know he'll use it more than I will up in Colorado. And so I found one on Facebook that I really liked, and they wanted $35. They agreed to $25. I met him. Major thing that was wrong is it looked like a guy's jacket. It was Ariat brand, which they do. You'll see a lot more men's clothing than you do women's clothing, even though they do make women's clothing full line. But it was a women's large jacket, not a men's large, so it wouldn't fit me. But when they were younger folks, when they opened the door to get out of the car to hand me the jacket, I could smell smoke, that smoke smell coming out of the car. And I was like, oh boy. And I smelled the jacket and I was like, whoa, man, that is kind of strong. And she goes, yeah, it might need a wash. And I was there thinking, not for me, it won't. And I think back to the ad, it didn't say non-smoking home. A lot of times people put that in their descriptions on Facebook Marketplace, whatever they're selling, that it's coming from a non-smoking home. So my camera died, it overheated, the battery died. I put in other batteries and I couldn't get it to come back on. In fact, it's not even charging right now, so I don't know what's going on, what to see. But I'm going to read off the stats for the last few items where it cut off. I think it cut off at that teapot. So I paid $4.35 for the teapot, sold it for $19.89 plus shipping. After the shipping label and fees and everything, I ended up with a $10.85 pre-tax profit on that one. Next three items, I'll put pictures up here for them so you can see the items. This Vans Whammy unstructured hat. I had about 5 or 6 of these. This is the last one, and I'm so grateful because the selling price, I'm losing money on those hats every time I sell them, but I'm getting some money back in my pocket. So I paid $14.30 for those hats, and I sold them for $14.89 plus shipping. I ended up losing $3.82 on the sale, but again, I've got money back in my pocket that I can spend on other things, so I'm glad to have that gone, that last one. Next sale kind of wiped it out were these Avon mom and dad, like glass little, I don't know, figures that you set on a desk or a shelf or something like that. But I picked them up at different times and got $3 into the pair. I sold them for $9 plus shipping and ended up with a $3.87 pre-tax profit, where I just lost $3.82, so they kind of wiped each other out, made a nickel between the two of them. And then the last one was a good one, were these vintage Rocky Mountain women's jeans that I picked up at an estate sale where everything was $1. So I've got $1.10 into these jeans. I listed them, and I've been sitting on them for about a year. I listed them for $39.89 plus shipping, and they sold. So my pre-tax profit on those jeans was $31.60 on a $1.10 investment, which is awesome. Worth sitting on for that. No pun intended. So total pre-tax profit for all 6 items came out to $113.31. Glad to have that money hit in the bank account in the next couple days. And I'll just keep it moving. So I've got more items to list over the next week. Hopefully I'll get those listed and then get those sold. I've got some good stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of it's clothing, and I like selling clothing because it's a good supplement to the rest of the knick-knack and cookware and stuff business. But I don't love listing clothing at all, but I've got to do it. I've got probably about 25 pieces I need to get listed pretty quickly. So that's it. If you've hung in here this far, I really appreciate you watching. Sincerely, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday and are getting ready to have a fantastic Christmas holiday coming up soon. Think about this. If you aren't a reseller, you ought to be. It's awesome. Have a great day.